when I actually landed, when I did the tour in Los Angeles, I was in Los Angeles for about 10 days, and I met my Los Angeles agents when I was there. And they said they had never met me before. I'd always been a client of the New York office, and they said, "Oh, so nice to meet you. We've heard so much about you. But hey, since you're here, why don't you go on an audition?" And I said, "Sure, why not? I'll get my feet wet, and I'll try my first ever LA audition." Mm-hmm. Well, my first LA audition was for a pilot, a musical pilot called Limelight for ABC, and actually, it was for the role of a young guy who goes to an acting conservatory, much like Carnegie Mellon, who runs away from home to audition for this school, and he ends up getting in, and it was kind of meant to be that I was in LA for those 10 days. I auditioned and I tested at the studio, I tested at the network, and I got this pilot, and thank God that the people at Rent were so nice to let me go for about a month to go shoot the pilot. But that was my first time getting a little taste of television, mm-hmm. and that after I finished the tour of Rent, is when I was in LA and I met the powers that be at Glee, and had a meeting with the amazing casting director over at Glee, who's actually on the Glee project. You'll often see him. His name is Robert Ulrich, who really makes it a point to meet as many music theater people and Broadway people as he can, so that he can kind of have an idea of who's out there, because Glee certainly is a show that'll be going on forever and ever and ever, and is an amazing phenomenon. And so I had a short meeting with him, and of course in the meeting, in his office, he was like, "Well, sing me a song," you know. And I was for some reason, the only song that came to my head at the moment to sing a cappella was "My Girl." Like, it was just a weird thing, and he was like, "Well, you're perfect. Someday you'll be on the show." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Great, fantastic." It was right around that time that I was in LA, when the tour had finished, that I auditioned for the Hollywood Bowl production of Rent, that was being directed by Neil Patrick Harris, mm-hmm. Who is a dear, dear member of the Rent family, and that I've met several times. He opened the LA company as Mark, and what he was trying to do was put Rent up in 10 days, and which is a beast of a feat. It is a beast of a show. And so what he wanted to do was, he knew that it was going to be a show at the Hollywood Bowl, 17,000 seats. If you can imagine a theater even bigger than the 12,000 seat Muni, which I couldn't ever before, but it was unbelievable. So just to look out and see 17,000 people looking back mm-hmm. at you was really a crazy experience. But what he wanted to do was, he wanted to piece together a cast of Hollywood names, people that are perfect for Rent, but had never done the show before, that would really draw a crowd. So he had Vanessa Hudgens play Mimi, and he had Nicole Scherzinger play Maureen, and he had Wayne Brady play Collins. And then he knew that he had to hire Rent alums in the company as well to kind of assist the new members of our Rent family and kind of catch them up. And thank goodness we had Neil at the helm. And thank goodness Neil decided to direct the show that way, because then I got cast as Angel. And the show was built on these couples, right? It's Roger and Mark. So, because Vanessa had never done the show before, we had Aaron Tveit play Roger, mm-hmm. And Skylar Aston play Mark. And Aaron, I don't know if you guys know this, but Aaron Tveit's first gig was on the tour of Rent. Oh, wow. His first job ever. Was playing Steve, the same track that I did in Rent. The Steve, the Ouija guy, and the waiter, and the Will I soloist. That was Aaron. And for Wayne was playing Collins, so he had me play Angel. Nicole Scherzinger was playing Maureen. So Tracy Toms, who had been a member of the Rent family for a long time because of the movie and because of the final Broadway cast, played Joanne. We had Gwen Stewart there, who was part of the original Broadway cast mm-hmm. as a Seasons of Love soloist. Yasmin Allers, who was the original dance captain, was in our company of Rent. So it was a really wonderful melding of new Rent people and Rent alum and Rent family. And I felt like in 10 days, and also the Larson family, the Jonathan Larson's family lived in Los Angeles. So I felt like in those 10 days we added some really wonderful new members to our Rent family. And I really do feel that way about Rent. Like that. Anybody who does the show, whether you do the show in your high school now, or if you do the show in your community theater or your church group or regional theater, like, you become a member of the show. Mm-hmm. I think having done the show, there's a certain there's a certain, I don't know, camaraderie of like, all right, you did the show too. We might have never done the show together, but you're an angel and I was an angel, and, and you were a Mark and so was I, and there's a certain connection there that you have. If I'm babbling and I'm not giving you enough to cut, I don't know what I'm.
No, you're
okay. Where was I? Rent, Hollywood Bowl.
You're at 15 minutes.
Oh goodness, my gosh, I just keep rambling. What else can I talk about? Oh, Godspell. I probably should talk about Godspell. So, between Wicked and Rent, what happened was I had done a regional production of Godspell at the Paper Mill Playhouse. And, you know, we had 4 weeks of rehearsal and we had a 4-week run at the Paper Mill. It was a 2-month gig. And nobody ever thought that this production of Godspell, directed by Daniel Goldstein, would go anywhere beyond Paper Mill. Well, Stephen Schwartz saw our production in New Jersey and fell in love and said, if Godspell is going to be revived on Broadway, this is how it should be revived, with Daniel Goldstein at the helm. And we tried to assemble as many members of the cast as we could, and somehow, through many ups and downs and many trials and tribulations, we are now, 6 years later, here at the Circle in the Square Theater, enjoying an amazing run. We've had to adjust the show a little bit because at the Paper Mill it was a show in the proscenium, and now we are a show in the round. But I actually think that this show has always been meant to be done in the round because it is such an interactive show, and the show has no fourth wall, and the show is all about community and connecting with another human being. And I feel like what better way to do that than to be in a very intimate theater in the round. You know, there is no fourth wall. When you sit in the audience of this show, I see you, you see us, and we sing and speak directly to you. And we hope that you feel us past the footlights, and we hope that you feel as much a part of the community we've built on stage. We hope you feel that sense of community as well. And I've had actually an amazing time doing Godspell. What I love about this show is that we see people coming in from their daily, hectic New York lives. And it is kind of our goal, the 10 of us on stage, to have you leave the theater feeling a little more joyful and a little more lifted and a little more inspired than when you walk in. So in 2.5 hours, we hope to give you joy. And that is simply what the show is about. And I will say that meeting all of the wonderful people that stay after the show and they meet us at the stage door, I think we're doing it. You know, I know people come and see the show and they're surprised by how happy they feel, that they leave with a smile on their face, and that or that I had one friend say, I left the show feeling like I wanted to go into the world and be a better person. And I said, wow, then I know we're doing our job as artists. And I don't know, theater like that has always been the most palpable theater to me. I feel like Godspell in many ways is like that. I feel like Rent is like that, a show that's meant a great deal to me. It's that it's so immediate. You can see the effect you're having on people, and it kind of validates what you do as an artist and as an actor. And it's when it's those moments that remind you this is more than just a job. Actually, what you do is important.
And now, what advice can you give to people who are just starting out?
The advice I give to all young actors is to never stop being a student. I still take lessons, I still take classes, I still consider myself somebody that is a student and always a work in progress, and to never stop learning. And I think if you have that mentality that there is always something to learn, and there's always something new to try, and there's always another challenge on the horizon, that you will get better and better and better as an artist, and you will keep redefining yourself and stretching yourself and finding out new things about yourself and be able to show new parts of yourself to an audience. I feel like with every job I do, I learn something new about myself, and then I gain another trick up in my that's in my bag of tricks now that I can use for the next show. And I feel like actors that I admire have that thing about them, that they never truly stop working, and that they never truly stop thinking about, okay, what else can I learn, and how can I be better? So don't lose that. Never lose that. Never think you're done.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
Take care.